Hello, I'm Chris Dowd, and I'm here today with Colleen Gahrmann. I talked to her about her career and her pieces and the Women Caucus of Arts exhibit, Space Between, displayed at Alfa Art Gallery. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Weather's changed. Looking forward to a little bit of fall. I'm good.
Yes, I always like fall too. So going on my first question that I have, why did you decide to become an artist, and how has your background influenced your growth and development?
Actually, my dad, he worked in a refinery. However, he also could really draw and paint very well, and he was a student at the Art Students League in Manhattan. So growing up, all of his supplies were, usually on the kitchen table throughout the house, and mostly pencil and watercolors. So just having his things in and about, certainly were there for all of us to use. And I really liked the materials, and I liked art. And my mom and dad were of the generation where teachers were still on a pedestal. They were called pedestal professions. So from the time we were knee high, my sister and I were told to be a teacher, because it would fit in with your most important job, a mother. And so if you liked art, then you should be an art teacher. If you like to cook, you should be a home ec teacher. So I chose the path of art teacher. I had a really good, colorful career, so no regrets.
How has COVID-19 and the ensuing lockdown influenced or changed your work in any way?
It really hasn't changed my work. I mean, my studio is my garage, which is like half a garage, half a studio. I only really make pots in the summer, and then I'll do surface design in the winter because I don't have heat in the garage. But this summer, with being quarantined, so I also do photography and collage. So I kind of turned to photography, and I took quite a bit of photos of my neighborhood and houses and the flags that they have out. I don't think it changed it, it just added maybe a little bit more focus in photography.
Yeah, add an extra dimension to what you can do. That's awesome. And then the two pieces in the show are Florida Baby and I Can't Breathe. They're both raku pottery. And I was wondering if you could talk about the process of creating these pieces and what was it about this medium that you thought about to carry your voice?
My main medium is ceramics, and years ago I focused on functional ceramics, but over the years I've developed more of a voice towards my work. So raku pottery kind of lends itself to that because I tend to use clear or white crackle glaze, which I think is kind of a neutral background, and I can sort of focus on the surface design and what I want to say, politically, socially, the pieces. So I think the raku lends itself to that, and raku is not to be eaten or drinking out of. So it's not a functional piece in that sense. It becomes more sculptural. Mm-hmm. In 2017, I was just sitting down to sort of like warm up and practice a little bit, make a few pieces, and before I actually started to keep a few pieces. And I started to make this casserole base, and I guess on my mind was the Charlottesville alt-right march in 2017. It was just announced and what had happened there, and so that piece was kind of like an unconscious happening. Like I said, I didn't sit down and say, like, I want to make a piece that's inspired by the Charlottesville demonstration alt-right atmosphere that was created there. But that's what happened, and so as you can see from that piece, I mean, the band of KKK kind of echoes the long history of that group and how it's still with us. The idea of Southern hospitality is sort of a oxymoron in that particular case. The Florida Baby itself was sort of a trinket that would have been sold at tourist stands throughout the South. And I learned more about the Florida Baby, so kind of linking present day with the past and our rich history and deep history of racism. But the Florida Baby really is dealing with how some say it's urban legend, others say it's the truth. There's postcards, there's a lot of things about the Florida Babies, but how young toddlers would be crying as their moms were in the sugar cane and cotton fields throughout Florida and Louisiana. So they would take the toddlers, tie a rope on them, and throw them towards the largest alligators, quiet everybody down for a while. So that's where the Florida baby comes from. He's sort of the focal point. And like I said, he sort of ties together our past with our present. Same thing with the piece, I Can't Breathe, was really Mr. Gardner in Staten Island had a chokehold on him for selling a few loose cigarettes. And so here again, it's linking our past, our recent past, with our very present situation now. So the I Can't Breathe is sort of like a funerary urn, the shape of it. And then the lid has a small face on it with see no evil, hear no evil, and say no evil. So that's where the inspiration for those, the inspiration is there. The need for it to be brought to the public's eye is there as well. And the link to the past and the present. And hopefully how we can break this chain.
Kind of going, that segues perfectly to the next question, because as you said, you created these back in 2017. And they have had this timeless relevance about them. What do you think art pieces like yours, why are they important today? And why are they particularly important in this moment of where we see all the race and racial injustice becoming more talked about, particularly in the wake of George Floyd's death and all the other victims of these violence?
I refer to it as a veil of white ignorance, not really knowing, not really caring, just not being aware. So obviously, because of social media, I think more than anything, and the redundancy of these incidents, atrocities, that more and more people are becoming aware. So yeah, I think the art brings it to people in a different level than social media, maybe a little bit more thought behind, like I said, the past and the present and the link. And, hopefully kind of these pieces won't have to be made in the future. I have another set of 3 pieces that I refer to them as canopic jars, very similar to the I Can't Breathe, but on them I've inscribed the victims of police brutality on the top of the jars, or the funerary urns, or canopic jars, if I say, and then the police who have been indicted on the bottom on their name. So I have 3 of those. I can't make enough urns to fill. I stopped at 3, and I made those in 2018, and I could just keep making them, which I don't want to do. I don't want to keep making urns with people's names. So hopefully I won't have to revisit that.
Hopefully we can move past all this and start making something better in the future. So I completely agree. So what specifically do you want viewers, when they see your art pieces, what do you want them to take away from it?
Just to to think on a different level, past how we got to where we are today, and why are we still doing what we're doing today? Why is this acceptable? Why does it take so long to indict someone? Why are we not looking at solutions rather than just keep repeating? So what are the stumbling blocks to a solution to this in our society? That's what I'd like people to look at when they see that.
So what do you think is specifically unique about your own voice as an artist?
I don't know if social issues, and this one in particular is specifically unique. I think the medium might be. I don't know if that many people work in a 3-dimensional raku, using the functional form as a format for social change. So in that sense, it would be a little bit more unique than other mediums.
This is kind of taking a bigger step back. I feel like we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but what do you think your role as an artist in society should be?
Well, I think that's changed as I've changed over the years. Obviously, when I first started becoming an artist and learning how to be an artist and to be an art teacher, it was to make art objects. It wasn't necessarily to be socially aware, to bring social or political or gender issues to the public eye. I think as I developed and as I grew to have a voice, that became part of my work.
So what do you think your proudest moment has been as an artist throughout your career?
I think I can think of maybe 2 or 3 highlights. One would be as an art teacher. In 1992, I became what was called a Dodge Fellow from the Dodge Foundation. And what that allowed me to do was to write grants annually for myself, for my students, on an array of themes and topics. The initial grant I wrote was to study Native American pottery in New Mexico. So that was the kickoff. And then every year after that, I was eligible to write for Dodge Fellow grants. And I won one every year till 2009 when I retired as a public school teacher. So yeah, I think that was like definitely a feather in my cap. And it was really liberating not to have this little cachet of money. Sometimes a big amount of money, sometimes a small amount of money, depending on what I was asking for. Not to have to ask for Board of Education approval or supervisor's approval. It was mine to be used as I had written the grants. So that was sort of like a liberating thing as a teacher. And I got to do a lot of great things for my students and myself too, attend workshops. I wrote transportation grants so the students could go to different museums, enter programs with other schools and other teachers, bringing them to my class and my class to theirs. One particular teacher and we did an exchange. She did pit firing once a year at her high school, and so my advanced ceramic students went and did pit firing with her students, and so it was a great opportunity. And I think the second thing that in my career that I really was ecstatic about was, I think it was in 2018, show at the Da Vinci Gallery on Catherine Street in Philadelphia with 2 other artists, Sarah and Rosalind Bloom. And we, touched upon all of us are sort of socially aware artists. And so the theme of our show was that, but it was a great opportunity to show a large body of my work in a really nice gallery with other artists that have similar themes and similar thinking. And then I also did a piece that was a 3-year endeavor regarding rape culture in America. So it was great to see that come to fruition after doing 3 years of photography and sort of pop-up installations. So I would say that would be my second highlight.
So with my last question for you today, could you tell us a little about some of the pieces you're working on right now, and where could other people go to find other pieces that you have in other places?
Well, right now, I have an Instagram account that I only post artwork on. Mm-hmm. So that's one place. I'm working on a website really slowly. And right now I'm just sort of switching gears a bit. I'm still going to be using Raku pottery as a foundation, but I think I need to take a rest emotionally, psychologically from the work that I've been doing as far as race goes. So I'm moving into some environmental concerns. And so my pieces will be more reflective of that right now. Doesn't say that I won't revisit past subject matter, but that's where I'm sort of heading. Mm-hmm. And I think, I'll probably maybe even work in collage a little bit more as since we're quarantined.
All right, that sounds incredible. Can't wait to see it eventually.
Thanks.
Well, if you want to learn more about The Space Between or Colleen and her work, you can go check out our website, alfaart.org. Colleen, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Take care.